everyone. Good morning. How you doing? Hopefully everybody slept well. And you're having a good morning. It's a fine Monday morning here in Colorado. My name is Paul Trani, and today we're going to do what that title says right over there, which is get started with animation. Let me just adjust my mic. It's peaking a little bit. There, yeah, I'm gonna get some green screen issues. I'm just noticing. Okay, so nonetheless, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thanks so much for joining me, Carrie, Susan, Minty. This is awesome. I'm actually noticing some new names here. Aditi, I see you over there on Facebook. Jump over to behance.net/Adobe Live, and that's the chat I'm gonna be watching. But hello from Scotland, Mary Cahill. I want to trade places with you. All right. Yeah, you guys kicked me out of bed early. Oh, jeez. Oh, man, what am I doing with my life? Just kidding. All right, so this is going to be really fun. I think the big thing I want to get across is, just like the different ways of doing animation and which app, honestly, might be best for your use cases. So that's the goal. Speaking of hair, by the way, Alberto, since you brought it up, I got a haircut yesterday. Which is awesome. Here in Denver, they started opening up some businesses, with limited, capacity, sort of like 10 people per establishment that's opened. So basically like hair salons, you can go get your nails done as long as there's not more than 10 people in the room. So anyways. All right, Jason Rose, thank you so much for the encouragement. We're going to dive into animation. You can see I have Creative Cloud desktop app open. We're viewing all apps right here, okay? But if we go to like video in motion, we can see a number of apps right in here. It's sort of like a new age for animation, any platform, device, and style, right? And then there's After Effects, Premiere Rush, Premiere Pro, Character Animator, right? And Photoshop is even in here. So I kind of want to click through and do some fun animations in each one of these apps, and hopefully you'll kind of catch a vision for the power of each one. So that's the goal. Philippa, I had a fun time on that with my school project. By the way, okay, Philippa's talking about the labor intensiveness of animation, and I hear ya. So, 6 feet rule, you gotta wear a mask. It's the whole thing. Just respect the, just obey the laws, and be respectful of others. That's all I ask. So let's dive in. Hello, Sobia and Abjado. Tennessee's in the house. Courtney Cox, Germany here. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to start out quite simply right over here with Photoshop, right? That's where we'll kind of dive in. We could see some text that I actually started laying out just for fun, right? We could see some of that. I could actually kind of jump in and maybe change those colors a little bit. I don't know. I'm working on this design still, by the way. Still kind of working on it, right? I like the idea of kind of taking some of these name or where somebody's from. Right now I'm just going to deal with, I guess, California, okay? Because, it's all about, I want to get out of the house, right? But I'm going to stay safe. So California, here we have this text, right? Like so. I can drop an image in there real fast. So let's do that. I have this library panel. Let's actually go into nature and just pull something that I happen to have. View by group. Again, these are just a number of nature images that I can work with for this project. Grabbing this one. Probably is not California. I better make sure I have some of this right at least. Here we go. Let's grab this city and drop it in here. Got some good images. Pay your taxes as well. Oh, don't remind me. Totally have to pay my taxes. I have not paid my taxes yet. And I feel terrible about it. Wait for it. I'm going to license an image. Again, just placing some elements in here, and then I'm going to start animating them. Honestly, Wilder, good to have you here as well. I see Peter in Detroit. Awesome. So a lot of times I actually just use Photoshop for doing simple frame animations, and that's it. Okay, so we can just flash some things around here in Photoshop after I get some images in there. Just kind of laying this out and trying to create something kind of neat is my goal. Okay, wait for it. Let's do some mountains, shall we? Wait for it. Let's just grab this one. Why not? There we are. All right, Jack Watson, what's up? Right, there we have it. A couple different images, placing that in there. In fact, what I want to do is I want to change the properties for this text. I can change that to white. I'm going to crop some of this, maybe mask it, but I have these different images that I kind of want to work with. Okay, so there they are, like so, like so. Okay. All right, there we are. We'll go to Window, we'll go down to Animation. Excuse me, it's actually Timeline, right in here, and we can create either a video timeline or a frame-by-frame animation, right? So, right through this drop-down, we can pick the one we want. Again, I'm in Photoshop. I'll create a frame animation, because this is where I think Photoshop kind of shines, right in here. So I can have this first frame be maybe display for 0.2 seconds, right? And then I can add a frame right over here, boom. So for the first frame, actually what I want to do is I want to just kind of turn off some of these elements off to the side, right? So I want everything to kind of bounce in. So we will turn off everything except for this top layer, right? Second frame, we're going to turn on that second layer. Third frame, we're going to turn on that layer. Okay, so now we can go ahead and play through this. You can see how that works. Right, pretty straightforward. In fact, yeah, I can extend this out a little bit more. In fact, for this last frame, I'd probably want to make it hold for a second. Okay. Dominican Republic in the house. All right, cool. You guys get how that works. Watch what happens though. You ready for this? When I start moving some of these graphics, because I noticed right up here, this image needs to be kind of moved over, boop, like that, or scaled up. You know, it's not quite lined up, right? So I just moved it over a touch. Notice how it moves it just for that frame, right? So this frame, I can have this, if I try to adjust it, I'm gonna have to adjust it for all the frames, as you can see, right? So that being said, let's kind of move that up. See, since I've moved it in this first frame, you can see, dragging it down a little bit more. Last frame, we can drop it right into place like that, okay? So that gets kind of tricky, honestly, like setting this up from one to the next. Have I ever been to India? No, I'd love to go to India. Would love to go there. But yeah, good to have you guys here. Montreal in the house. Pakistan is here. Cool. So you guys get the idea. We can play this all day long, right? Quite simply. It's going to loop forever, right? So this is just our simple frame-by-frame animation. From here, we can save for web, right? Switch this to, of course, GIF. Actually, let's go right here. Let's change this to GIF. And we can see that it's actually going to loop forever, right? Take the size down as well if I want to, like so. And we can play through that, and it's going to loop forever. All right, pretty straightforward. Honestly, this is how you'd probably make memes and different things. By the way, if you're joining me over on YouTube, I don't mean to ignore you, but welcome. Good to have you here. Sam, Sabine, Calvin, Badal as well. Pratik, sorry about that. So head over to behance.net/Adobe Live and hang out with me there. From there, saving that. This is how you'd probably make any sort of like, obviously animated GIF, any sort of like meme, anything that just needs to be a couple frames. We'll post that to my desktop like so. Okay, cool, we got that done. I'm gonna delete these frames actually. Oops, not the layer. Right over here, delete. Delete. Because we could actually change this to a video timeline, okay? And you can see once I change this to a video timeline how it changes the look of this whole timeline panel, and we could see all the various layers. So oftentimes I actually want to clean up my layers before I click on this. So like have your layout all squared away before you dive into the timeline panel, right? So let's just kind of move this over. Let's hit play. Of course, nothing's going to happen. This is about 5 seconds long currently, right? Let's stretch it out. 5 seconds is actually pretty good. We can see all these layers. Right in here, we can twirl these down and see the different options we have for animating. Cool. What's the best size for GIF in After Effects? The best size is going to just depend on your output. So if you want to post this to Twitter, think about how they crop their images and the width of their images. There's like so many things to take into consideration. So just think about your output at the end of the day, right? So honestly, I'd probably start large. I'd probably start with something square, but think about how you'd want to change it later on. The nice thing about After Effects is I think it's pretty flexible when it comes to changing the size. But let's get in here. We can see we have different transform properties, opacity, and the style, right? So those are our options we have. We can go in here and turn on this little stopwatch. Typically, we'll work backwards. So I'll kind of come over here about 2 seconds in, right? And I'm actually going to reorder this to make it give us a little bit more, so it makes a little bit more sense. Okay, wait for it. Let's take this one, let's scale it up a touch, move it into place like that. There we are. Hello, Gilmore. All right, so here's my text so far. I'm gonna start with this top image right here, turning on transform. A lot of times, like I said, is I'll scrub 2 seconds in, because what you're going to end up making is that final frame. So you kind of establish the final position, then you scrub back, and then you can move this into place. So that can slide over there. So now it's off screen at this point, and then when I click play, you can see it slowly kind of slide in. Okay, it is buffering, going kind of slow, but you get the idea. Okay, cool. Lots of love from the Philippines. Lots of love here from Colorado, right? We can have that slide in, okay? So let's take a look at when we start messing with this, okay? And actually, I'm going to twirl this down. I'll just quickly animate these other two really fast, right? That's what we're going to do. Bam! Turn on that stopwatch. There it is. Come over here. Skyline. Move that to the other side. Zoop. Right over there. Like so. Taking this one. Sliding it over here, like that, way over there. And now they're all off the screen. We can go ahead and click play. We can see that slide in like so, okay? Super slow because it's buffering, right? That's why it says it's red right there. It means it's just buffering and going really slow. Right on. Hello, Steve. Good to see you, my friend. Right, you could see right up here, by the way, buffering. The reason I usually like to start out in Photoshop is it really is like your gateway drug to After Effects. So you're sneakily learning After Effects in good old Photoshop, right? The same concepts are applied. Clicking play, just like that, right? Really straightforward. Cool. Buenos dias, Greg. Good to have you here. So you get the idea. We can also add audio in here. Who would think that in Photoshop you can deal with audio, but you actually can, okay? Let's kind of mix this up and let's try to break it, okay? So I have that set up. I'm gonna take this text. Let's actually just turn off these other layers. Let's take this surfing above the text layer, and right over here, we're gonna go ahead and clip it. Okay, we're gonna make a clipping mask. Bam, we're putting that image inside of that text, like so. Okay, we have that changed, right? And now we have it kind of revealing that text, which I think looks pretty cool, right? You get the idea, right? But the cool thing is we can kind of change it even after the fact. a certain amount. But if I happen to move it again, it's going to add a new keyframe right in here. So just be careful. Your animated property, you don't want to mess with it after the fact, like reposition things unless you want to animate that property. Let's take the skyline right there, turn that on, let's clip it, bam. Take this, Nia, bam, like that, right? Scrubbing back. Wait for it. Again, we're just playing with Photoshop currently. And again, I'm happy you're with me. We had a full day, a fun day, by the way, that I will have to share with you the entire schedule here in a second. But let's just watch that slide in. Maybe a little bit slow, but again, it's buffering. I don't have a fast machine. This machine, I'm working on a MacBook Pro from late 2016, just so you know. Cool. Wait for it. Come on, baby. Spacebar will play just like in After Effects. We can see that slide in. Let's stagger this a little bit. We'll render it. We'll actually export. We'll save this as a... Actually, it's going to be saved as a PSD. We're going to bring this into After Effects. I'll probably start with the fundamentals, but also I want to talk about all these other apps as well, because some people are like, oh, what is... You know, we have Animate, right? What is Animate? Is that what I use to animate? Potentially, right? If you want to animate in HTML and other platforms, right? So this is largely for, you know, any use case. It's basically animation that's written by code, if you will, WebGL, HTML, Flash, if you want to. That is the idea. So let's move this down. Grab this one right here, skyline in the middle, move that down like that, and now I can go ahead and render this out. All right. Actually, before I do that, I want to point out that this timeline right up here, we want to keep in mind how much it's actually going to render, because look, it's actually going to drop this text at this point in time. So the lifespan of this first image, for instance, it's going to disappear. Boop. It's going to disappear even though it's going to render out the rest of this. So I want to keep that in mind. I probably want to extend all of this out like so. And from there, we can render it, or we can actually drag this in. This is the composition render. It's going to render out about 4.5, 5 seconds. Let's go to File, Export, Render Video. That's where I usually go. I can render that out. All right, so you get the idea. Wait for it. That's what I say when I gotta, like, yeah, obviously kill time. I'm like, okay, it's coming. It's gonna initialize the video export. Right. Oh, by the way, I didn't even check the file size, right? So again, I want to keep that in mind. I think I was actually, for this, I was going for rendering out a video to go in Instagram. So it should be 1080 by 1350 if I'm going to add it as a video post in Instagram. Okay. I think you guys get the idea. Afrosia, what's up? Ahmad, yeah, can you use a GIF image instead of a normal image? Yes, that's a great question. We just added that, geez, less than a year ago, the ability to open up an animated GIF in Photoshop and then edit it, which I guess we did not have that ability. You could always make an animated GIF, but you weren't able to like open one up. It would only give you the first frame, and now you can actually open up an animated GIF. I think what's fascinating is the resurgence of animated GIFs. It's seen a huge resurgence. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, you get the idea. I've exported it. Oh, that was amazing. Oh, so great. Okay, we're not going to render it. You get the idea, okay? We're just going to remember I just have this little California file that I could play with later on. But let's kind of dive in to a couple of other animations that we can work with, right? So we have other apps that we can work with. Let's open this up, right? I'm going to install Animate, by the way, right there. I'm going to open After Effects. So I'll just click right here. Let's open that up. and have some fun in After Effects. All right. Cool. Okay, so Anel asks what the job market is for motion designers now. Honestly, I don't really know. What I do know, even for all designers and motion designers, it's like there is not a lot of live video that's being shot right now since everybody's inside, right? So it's just no really good high quality live video footage. So I think that means I would think motion designers and animators would be a little bit more in demand for certain productions, right? Because you can't go out and hire a big crew and have a whole thing right now. You can't have, say, everybody has to be 6 feet apart. So what that means is, hey, let's go ahead and animate our idea. So anyways, all right, let's go. New project. Boom, there we are. New composition. Let's dive into this. I'm just going to do, I could do 1920 by 1080 if I want to, 1920. Right? We have square pixels, 30 frames per second, background color. Let's just go with a fun magenta. Why not? Click OK. There it is. We can kind of dive into this. This is my first comp, right? And from here, we can bring in those images a couple different ways, by the way. So right over here, actually, let me just do that right now. Let's just go ahead and import file. We'll grab that California file. There it is. That's the one we're working with. Import as footage, as a composition, right? Retain layer sizes, and let's go ahead and open that up as a composition, right? That's what I just created, was this empty comp. Yeah, make everything editable. Keep it as, a linked smart object is missing. Oh man, okay. Let's take a look at that. I'm just gonna rasterize these layers. And let's check the size. Image size. 1080 by 1350. Yep. Got it. By the way, I can just grab this from my desktop and drop it in here. Right? It's going to bring up these same options. There it is. Opening this up. Here it is. You could see each particular text element comes in as its own composition, right? So if I go to the Cali right here, I'll double click on that. I can see there's that Cali because what was happening is it was using a clipping mask, right? So it tends to interpret it the best way it can, and might not give you like the best results, because I actually don't want everything wrapped up in here. So if I go to Cali right in here, okay, I have this Cali right here, right? I really want this to be an object that I can work with a little bit more easily. So, but it does bring it in. I actually want to start from scratch, by the way, in animating. So let's go to comp 1 and let's kind of get started with some simple text, right? So let's come in here. I need maybe a different place, to be honest with you, since this is live. And again, thanks for joining me. You have me for a little while longer, by the way. And you could see the Daily Creative Challenge with Jesus Ramirez is going to be up after me. Coloring book illustrations with Anna. Daily Creative Challenges all day today. Hopefully you're on Behance.net. Even if you're on YouTube, jump over to Behance.net/Adobe Live, and the schedule's right below me. All right, so you guys get the idea. But I was just checking on the time. I still have some time, so this is good. Sweet. All right, so would love to hear where someone is from, because I want to kind of get into animating some fun text, right? So again, I could use Cali if I want to, but I would love to get a different location. Anyone at all, feel free. Detroit, Atlanta, give me a, yeah. Poland, right? Guadalajara. Paulina's in the house. I love Guadalajara. Let's do, we have Portugal. Cool. I'm going to pick Felipe with Portugal because Philippa actually has her face for the avatar. So that's what we're going to go with. We'll just go with Portugal. Just dropping in some text. You can actually use somebody's name. Once you type it in there, this is what sometimes happens. If you have the caps lock on and you try to move something, you're going to get this error. So a lot of times it's going to say you need to turn this back on. Zoom in on that. Sometimes it won't refresh because you have your caps lock on. A lot of times you'll zoom in and out, and that's all I'm doing is navigating right in here. I actually want to change this to fit. Fit this into my viewable area like so. Okay, so kind of drop that right in the center, and we can start playing with some of this text. There's different ways for animating things. I kind of want to get a cool artistic element in here as well. I'm just going to draw out, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to draw out a shape. There it is. Guess what? This gives me a fill and a stroke, right? We can see the fill right there. I could click right there. I could remove that stroke like that. Click OK. Notice right down here, here's my Portugal, and this is going to be my box. That's all I'm going to call it. Yeah, real descriptive name there. Right? Twirl down this rectangle. Here's the stroke. Twirling that down, and let's increase the thickness of that line. Okay, so we have that box. Can move that down underneath Portugal. We'll move Portugal over. We'll just kind of nest it right here is kind of what I'm thinking. Right, within this frame we want to sort of animate an image as well. Australia's in the house. Vietnam, I love it. Love it. Good to have you here. All right, I could always hit the tilde key. So the little squiggly line on your keyboard, as things get more complex and as you start to take a look at your timeline, as it gets more dense, you can hit that tilde key to expand it full frame, which is what I'm doing right here. But there it is. Here's my text layer with a bunch of different options. We have our box as well. So at a very basic level, we have transform properties that we can change, okay? So right in here, if we want to animate this in, we can go to the position. And just like we did, boy, what just happened to my, let's just reset my workspace. By the way, I'm going to reset this just to the default layout. There it is. There we go. And let's take a look at this composition that I'm actually using. This comp 1. We'll go to the composition settings. Just to give you an idea, one thing I didn't point out earlier is the duration, right? So this is always going to be your last used duration. We're just going to do 5 seconds because we're going to keep this simple, but we do want to animate this content in. Just like I did in Photoshop, I'll scrub in like, say, 1 second. I'll add a position keyframe, bam, like that. We'll add in maybe a position and scale for my box, right? I can add a number of things in here, but then I want to scrub to the first frame. So from the first frame, let's have this over here, moving it kind of off screen, if you will. You can see it's going to just slide in like so, right? Maybe for the box, I'm going to have it kind of come up from the bottom. I can either grab the actual object or manipulate these numbers right down here. And I'm sorry, let me flip myself to the other side so you can see this a little better. Right, I'm just kind of scrubbing on these two numbers. So we'll drop that down as well, right? So drop that down, we'll hit play. We can see that content slide in like so. Cool. All right, hello beginner designer. Good to have you here. I cannot read your name at all, and I apologize. Cool. All right, Portugal. I have not been to Portugal, you know, and it's a bummer because we were going to have Adobe Max in Portugal. Everybody was so excited. Myself and Tim would have been able to hang out finally. I'd be able to see you guys, but not this year. So, okay, so that is done. Let's take a look at this text. So this kind of slides in and doesn't really have any character to it sliding in at all. Okay, in fact, it just, I'm going to bring this up a touch. So it rests on that line. Okay, I actually want it to ease When it reaches this point, I want it to slow down. Okay, so if I select that keyframe that you can see right there, just do a right click. I usually go down to keyframe assistant, and then I will pick easy ease. So it's going to slow it down as it reaches that point. Or I can do an easy ease out, right? I always just select easy ease. Not easy E. Easy ease. And we're going to do that for this one as well. Okay, just do easy ease. Just hit F9. It's much easier, to be honest with you. But that's just me, right? Hit that space bar. It rests into place. Just like that, nice and slow. We can really get into tweaking this animation too. And I get it. This is all getting started with animation. But we can get into, say, the graph editor, for instance. Selecting that graph editor, let's view this lovely curve, right? We could see it right there. In fact, let's just kind of fit this into view a little bit more. We have the easy ease right there that I can also select. But let's kind of take a look. This is the position X is the only thing that has changed, right? The position Y hasn't. You could split these up and animate each one, right? But again, this looks pretty good. I could split up the X and Y like so. I can actually grab this Bezier point and control how it's going to slide in. So again, I'm going to go beyond. So if it kind of goes beyond that line, let's drag that all the way up. Let's jump back. Let's click play. You could see it's going to go zoop, boop, like that. So you can get some really fun motion if you dive into the graph editor. Okay. All right, we could always click that off and take a look. Curves, nice curves. It has some nice curves there. All right, so another thing you'll notice, or another tip I would say, is to hit the U key. If you hit the U key, it's only going to display the properties that you modified. So that really changes it and just makes it easier as opposed to going over here and twirling down and finding those keyframes. So hit U and I'll just expose it. Let's have some more fun with this, shall we? Let's have some fun, guys. I want to move so much faster, to be honest with you. With this layer selected, so let's just turn off that box. Well, maybe I'll keep it on, but I'm going to just select this rectangle tool. I have Portugal selected. Okay, so I have this layer selected. I'm going to come right over here and I'm just going to drag out, and you can see I've created this lovely mask. Okay, so just grab your vector tool, have a layer selected, draw on that layer. It will go ahead and add that as a mask right here, right? So this works out perfect because that's actually what I wanted. Oh no, it actually doesn't work out perfect. I'm gonna change how I'm gonna do this. That's how you do a mask. That is how you do a mask. I'm gonna change this up a little bit. You ready for this? Okay, so this is really important. When you get to adding shapes, right? Be careful what's selected, right? Because I actually want to add another little box right in here, okay? So I want to make sure nothing is selected. I'm gonna grab this rectangle. I'm going to just change the color to something else just so we could see it. We will make sure it doesn't have a stroke like so. Okay, and now I'm just going to draw it on top and it creates this new layer. This is my new shape layer. Okay, works out well so far. From there, what I want to do is I want to add a alpha matte. Are you ready for this? Getting into mattes. Let's redo this new rectangle. Here it is, Portugal. And I'm saying, hey, for this layer, go ahead and use shape layer 1 as the matte. So basically mask it out, boom, like so, okay? That means what we have there, we could see it kind of, we don't see it here. In fact, I'll move this in a little bit. Like so. All right. What am I doing in Portugal? I wish I was in Portugal. I don't know if you're asking me that, Anita, because I would love to be in Portugal right about now. So cheers. 2 coffees. Let's get this party started. Oh yeah, you could set a matte mask, you're good. Yeah, there are a number of ways. There's so many things we can do right here. I kind of need to save this project and just start to get this a little bit more squared away. So let's just delete that one. We don't want this one, but we want to kind of do basic. This is sort of lesson 01, which is basic animation. Right? That's what we've done there. Just added this basic animation. From there, let's go ahead and duplicate this. Oops, not that. Right over here. Command D, duplicate this project, and we'll get into some more fun if we could. And if that sounds good to you. Let's kind of play with some text. Let's do some text animation. Right, we did basic animation. How's that gonna go? Be happy to give you guys this file, but I just want to keep everything organized. So you guys hopefully find it beneficial. I'm gonna remove that shape layer. Just gonna kind of clear out some of this stuff as well. Right, clear that out. Let's have some fun, shall we? Animating text, right? We know we can animate this text, showed you earlier. A couple of additional things you can do. I only talked about animating sort of the X and Y position. We can do a number of other options. In fact, right up here, if we click this little box, again, for this layer, if we click this little box, this will give me the 3D properties, right, to animate. So I'll click right there, boom. Oh, thank you very much. Gives me the orientation, X, Y, and Z rotation as well. So now I can think about doing something a little bit different with this. Maybe positioning it right here in the center, like so. Let's make it larger as well. So let's just scale this up. Just by scrubbing on that number. I really need to get an image back there. There it is. And let's just kind of have it, let's have it flip up, for instance. Let's go to the scale, right? So we have this, oops, sorry, not the scale. The orientation just beneath scale, like that. And notice how we can kind of spin that around, like so. Okay? We can spin around, again, right down here. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see the orientation right here for the sort of, it would basically kind of be your X, Y, and Z axis is what we're dealing with, right? So you get the idea. Shoop. I could have as much fun as I want. Like I said before, typically what I'll do is I'll start with the final frame. So I'll scrub in maybe 1 second, add a keyframe for orientation or Z rotation, whatever you want to add. Okay, adding a keyframe there, I'll scrub back. I'll take this to like 90 degrees, so it's laying flat. And now let's kind of have it flip in. Like so, okay? We need more places. Scotland, right? Again, this text is always going to be editable. Can jump in. And not only that, we can go ahead and duplicate this. Let's do this. Boom. Zoop. Move that up. U key. Oh, there's so many more things we can play with in here. Okay. All right, there it is. Yeah, so there we have animation of just this text going up. Let's go ahead and, yeah. Take a look at animating individual characters is what I want to do. Cool. Okay, so it's more work, but you envision each letter like barrel rolling in. That would be cool, and we can actually do that. let's go ahead and do some individual character animation. So let's do this. Character animation. Let's take a look at it. Let's turn off that 3D. Here we have Scotland. Let's animate these individual characters. An easy way to do that, honestly, is going into your effects and presets. This is something we definitely talk about, right? We can go in here, we can go into text, for instance, or we can go to, animation presets, go into text right here, and you'll see a lot of crazy ones. You're like, what are half of these things, right? An easy way to animate a lot of these is actually coming over here. I would go up to animation, and then I would browse presets. So animation presets are out there, browse presets. You can see that opens up right in here. We can go into text, animate in, right? And you get the idea. You get these lovely little previews, just like much easier to see, by the way. Yeah, I'm just kind of taking a look at a couple of these. Let's go into blurs. I think these blurs are really fun, like transporter. You can see this content start to blur in. Cool. So all I need to do is find the preset that I want, double click on it, it will go ahead and add it. Cool. Welcome everybody on YouTube. Join us on Behance, by the way. All right, there it is. We could see, twirl down text. We have this transporter animator. That's what we just added, right? And you can see we've got a range selector, so it's actually going to be rifling through all those lovely characters. As I hit spacebar, we can see it slowly start to animate in. Cool. Pretty straightforward. Presets are free. Yeah. Yes, they are. I would probably mask this, to be honest with you. That kind of bothers me that it's breaking outside of the box. So let's just do that really fast. Zip. Drawing it over. And now it just appears inside of that box. Scotland. Okay. We could drop in an image of Scotland, by the way. Let's actually try that. Let's close that. Libraries. Let's search Adobe Stock for Scotland. Some beautiful video. Let's just go ahead and yeah. Just grabbing an image, syncing it right now. Again, I love that I could just kind of grab something just to comp this up, just to make something quick. All right, what's up, everybody? I saw Rubzilla in the house. I saw your name. So yeah. All right, that's synced, right? There it is. Kind of drop it into our current comp, right? We'll wait for it. There it is. Takes a second to render. We have these stunning, what do they call it? Stunning landscape of the Isles of Skye. Oh yeah, whew. Beautiful. Bring this down to the bottom. Take this, mask it out as well. So just, we get the inside there, or I actually might scale it down. Let's scale it down. And then it looks like we might need to mask this out a little bit. There we go. Hit play. Scotland. There we go. Kind of doesn't have the same, like it's a different palette, right? I could do Command K, change the background color to something that I have in this particular photo is one way of doing it. I'm actually going to kind of pick, I need a fun green, right? Let's do that green. There we go. Click OK, right? We have our fun green. From there, if I decide I want to add any sort of Blend mode. Cheers, everybody. Change this to overlay, for instance. Oh, interesting. That is interesting. Hold on. I'm going to add a new solid. That's going to be a certain color. Drop this down here. It's actually... Okay. Wait for it. Oh, what just... There we go. Hold on 1 second. I'm just going to add another layer that is a solid. There we go. Getting the right green, clicking OK. I'm going to bring this down to the bottom, like so. And now we can see it. So here's something that just happened I wanted to point out. I changed this layer blend mode to overlay and darken, and I didn't see it change at all because I honestly forgot that I actually, this background color, it doesn't affect the background color. So that's basically transparent. So that's why nothing was happening. Here's a little transparency toggle, right? So again, I should probably turn that off. I just added a layer right over here, and now we can see that this darken has been affected by that blend mode. Let's change that to overlay. You get the idea. All right, cool. Let's move on. I'm not crazy about this. I think it needs a little bit more work. Yeah. It's just so glorious, honestly. It's just so great how it is. Honestly, in this case, I would kind of jump in and probably do some color correction to that video, right? So I can come in here, grab what I want. I can sort of adjust the levels, the color balance as well. So I want to boost this up. Let's drop that on like so, right? Increase the lightness. Oh, I'm sorry. Dropping it on the video in the center. Increase the lightness. Oh. This happens sometimes as well. What I keep doing is I keep dropping it on the wrong item. So right down here, you can see I dropped it on that box, okay? It actually makes more sense in this case since I have lots of layers in here. Just select the layer and then drop it on that particular layer, right? So that's what I'm gonna do. Right on. Okay, there we go. Selecting just that layer, okay? Because again, I was missing it each time. I forgot I had that nice little frame. Because honestly, for this video, I can add a stroke around it. I could have just as easily done that. But you see right there, there it is. Scrolling down effects, color balance. Yeah, let's crank up the lightness or the saturation of that video. Obviously, you can see what it's doing there, right? We can change this all we want, okay? Cool. You get the idea. Let's take this back. We have this animation. We have this text coming in. I want to get into a couple more things. I want to animate. I kind of want to animate a stroke as well. Okay, so hopefully that works for you. Richard, this is not live. Sorry. This is pre-recorded. I just knew that you were going to ask that. And that's why I said it. It's either live or I'm totally psychic. Okay, there we go. We have our fun animation. All right. Let's go back to this project. We did some simple character animation. I'm saving these so we know the progress that we're making as we go along. I want to do, some more character animation. I want to do a stroke animation right in here. Let's do it. Let's get rid of that mask. I'm going to simplify a lot of this. I'm going to maybe use a different location. why not? Because I just appreciate people joining us from all around the world. So, yeah. List of castles in Wales. Let's do Wales, shall we? Just turn off that, let's get rid of that. Actually, I might bring that back. Okay, so simplifying a lot of this. All I did is turn off some other layers so they don't get in the way. But we have Wales now. So here we go. This is our Wales. There we go. All right. Can you see I'm drawing a blank? Can you tell? All right. Bhutan. All right. Cool. I've never visited Bhutan, but I'd love to go. All right, so I actually need to apply a stroke to this. I need to do a couple things. I kind of re-type this in. There we go. Snapping it into place. There we go. Let's start to play with this a little bit. And let's save this file. Hold on, I'm going to save this as animation. And let's open up this file. Cool. All right, so let's dive into this right now. Here's again, simple animation. California. Little graph editor action, how it bounces in and out. We can dive into expressions, text effects. This is kind of what I also showed earlier. Text animation stroke. Here we have it. Let's kind of take a look at this. Again, I was working on this earlier. Wait for it. Here we go. Oh yeah, okay, this is what I actually forgot to do. Oh yeah, whew. Gosh. Right in here, let's just go ahead and duplicate this layer, turn this on. Let's go to Layer, Create shapes from text, right? That's what I forgot to do. So I was looking for some settings and I'm like, oh shoot, it's kind of like vectorizing that text, right? So create shapes from text, boom, what it does, it actually takes that layer, right? Hides the original text layer in case you need it, creates this new shape layer that you can access that has all of those settings that you need, okay? So that's actually what I was looking for. I apologize, I couldn't find that anywhere and I just, my brain hurt a little bit. I don't know if you noticed, right? But right in here, now we have strokes, we have fills that we can work with, okay? Again, let's go back in here, let's just type in Wales. Scaling this down, like so. All right. Layer, create create shapes from text. There we are, twirling this down. Now, since I've picked whales, we have the outlines right over here, and then we have all of these letters, right? For each letter, we're going to have a stroke, and we're going to have a fill that we can play with. All right. Okay. So what I can do right in here is add trim paths. So I selected add trim paths for all of that text. Okay, so this is actually going to be applied to each one of those letters. We have a start and then we have an end. And honestly, I should go through and turn off the fill. Here's the stroke. Let's take a look right in here. Let's take this to about 10 so we can see this, right? We have this stroke created, right? And I would do that for each letter right over here. Cool. Sorry, I'm not looking at chat. This is a case, again, where I'd hit the little squiggly line, the tilde key, to expand this out so I can kind of access each one of these letters, right? It's right in here. Stroke, there it is. Turn off the fill. Take this to like 10 for each one. I'm glad I picked a location that doesn't have a lot of letters. All right, thanks for hanging out with me on this fine Monday. I also want to get into good old Adobe Animate and Character Animator as well. So there's a number of things we can do. All right, 10, that looks good. I hope these look good. I'll find out in a second. Right. All right. Zoop. Going back out. Tilde key. There we are. Everything is squared away. All right. Now we can get to animating this. We'll animate this over the course of 1 second. Again, twirl those back up. Right down here. Trim paths, start and end, and also an offset. Okay. So if I change the end, here, let's scrub in 1 second, add a keyframe for end, scrub back to the first frame, and then we'll take that to 0, like so. Now we can go ahead and click play. We can see it outline all of those letters. In fact, let's have some more fun with this. Let's extend this out like 3, maybe 4 seconds so we can see it a little bit better. Same concept applies if I have this composition window selected. We can see that animate on. Cool. Yeah, so in this instance, an eyedropper feature to copy styles would be cool. Steve, you're exactly right. What I would do sometimes, and this is kind of a hack, but I could have also added keyframes for elements that I want to copy and paste. So I'd add a keyframe, copy that keyframe, paste on all the other layers, and then I delete the keyframes, and that kind of transfers all the properties over. That's just a little hack. What about the dragon eating the word whales? I have no idea what you're talking about. What about it, a dragon eating the word whales? Yeah, sure. Let's have some fun with some of these colors, shall we? We haven't gotten into colors. We've only gotten into like animation and moving things around. We can do, I want to get into colors, but I also want to get into like a little bit of expressions. Just a few, okay? Because that actually equates over to Adobe Animate as well. There we go. We have that animating in. Zoop. That looks great. That looks good. Okay. Let's save this. By the way, did you notice right down here for this box, I have the same thing happening right here. So we can see that stroke. Oop. Same thing, we have trim paths. And if I wanted to, I can also change this. I can actually change the start. I can make it kind of chase I can make it like kind of chase the end line. So I'm going to add a keyframe for start. Place that there. We'll scrub through. And move this down here. Okay. Now you're ready. You can start to see these little dashes and these lines that start to extend. Let's go like this. Taking that down. Okay, so ready? We're gonna get just like a little bit more interesting look as we can see it kind of move around. Okay, cool. Okay. A number of things we could do in here as well. Okay, we can work with expressions, because let's say, for instance, I create this animation and I want this to actually kind of have a line that chases like forever. Okay, so it's like always kind of rolling through this sequence like that. Let's just increase this a little bit. Let's have it go like that. That looks good. Cool. And again, I'm just going to play with this. I'm kind of messing with these numbers, by the way. We all have just a couple different keyframes in here, and we can see it kind of bounce around. Let's go here. Let's take this back down to 0. We'll take this up to 100, right? Like that, so we can see it doing all this crazy disco stuff, okay? What I can add in here are expressions for this as well, okay? So that is the plan. Let's take a look for this particular keyframe. Undo that. Click right here. For this start path, if you hold down the Option key or Alt key and click on that little clock, we can start to play with the content of this trim paths. That's what we get right there. So let's see if we could do this. Let's see if we could do like a loop out. Loop out. And then this first number are the number of keyframes, which is why I added more. So in here, what I can do is I can let's just try this. Loop 5 times. Let's try this. Oh, yeah, I'm having some issues with this. I don't think we're gonna get there in time. Here, let me actually. Let's do this. Hold on. I need the type. Let me just paste this in. I got a little bit of an error. Or a lot of an error. Yeah, I'm going to have to practice this on something else. I usually use Wiggle, and I thought I'd try something a little bit more fancy. Basically, what loop in and loop out will do is it'll go through the last keyframes and loop them as many times as I want. So that's what an expression typically does, right? In this case, I have kind of broken it. So I'll just undo that a couple times. Again, just kind of having some issues with that. That should have worked. I've just, yeah, haven't done it on a trim path. That's also the problem. Let's try a new composition really fast. 1920 by 1080. Maybe, yeah, loops can get nauseating. I totally agree. Vegas, we can do a fun Vegas effect, right? But let's just go ahead and take a star, draw it out. Look at this crazy star I was using earlier, by the way. When I draw out a star, I can use the arrow keys to increase or decrease this star to make it look more like a burst if I want to. Okay, I'm going to keep this at about 5 because we want to be able to sense the rotation, right? So there it is. It's this poly star. I'll go into the inner radius, the outer radius, and change this inner radius, make this a little more like so, and kind of change that fill color to just like a nice white. Okay, so there we have it. We have that fill. And I can actually add as many shapes as I want to a shape layer. So you'll actually find a number of positions within one shape layer if I have a number of objects. In here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and add a position. Let's go back. Option click. There we go. There it is. And we'll just do a simple wiggle. All right. The wiggle is going to be the number of frames and then the amount. Oh, brother. Stop playing. I'm going to undo this a couple times. Let's go right here. Position. There we go. Okay, you can see it now moving around randomly. There you go. That took me forever. Okay. All right. Yeah, just like Illustrator, you got it right. A nice white. The best of all the whites, right? We can see that kind of smoothly kind of move around. Cool. Yeah, we could do some fun things with color as well. Let's try this. You ready for this? We've randomized movement. Let's go ahead and randomize a color. All right. All right, so here is color balance that I've just added. And I could actually animate sort of like through the hue if I want to. So this is just going to be some randomness. It's going to get kind of crazy, I'm not going to lie. Let's make this a little lighter, a little brighter. Make that star a little brighter. Let's go in here to our effects. Color balance, hue is what we want to do. Right in here for that hue. Let's do a random. And let's just randomize this 20 by like, say 80, right? And if I did 360 right here, I'm just doing on either side of the current color. So I could do 360 and it's gonna give us even more more random colors, right? And we can see that obviously dance around, right? Ooh, loop out ping pong. Thank you. There's loop out ping pong. Yeah, thank you. Yep. So it'll go back and forth, bom, bom, bom. But again, here we have our fun star because somebody mentioned adding Vegas in there, right? You get the idea. Cool. Vegas, baby. Let's duplicate that, shrink that down, move it over. Right. And now we have a couple of stars. I hope this doesn't hurt anybody's like eyes. Let's move that one over there. Move this one down here. There we have Vegas, baby. Kind of hurts my eyes. Ouch. Right? I should probably slow that down some. Okay. Right on. We're doing all sorts of crazy things. Okay, let's go back to my project. Let's take a look at some of these. We've animated that. We can animate masks as well, right? Here's just a simple case of animating a mask and kind of bringing some of that content together as well. Here's another expression that I was working on just kind of animating a background color, and notice how that hurts your eyes. Here's another one where you could also apply that wiggle to a rotation or any property, to be honest with you. So that's just using wiggle. All right, cool. All right, thanks for hanging out with me. Okay, Chris Kilbane, awesome, is giving me some good advice out there on Facebook. Oh, yeah. Yes, so you could actually import an Illustrator file and then animate the stroke, the fill, and all that fun stuff. There's also an extension that I actually do not know if I have still that will actually build a link between your Illustrator file and your After Effects file. Okay. Oh, it's called Overlord, right? Haven't used Overlord in a while, but that will allow you to link a graphic file from, say, Illustrator to After Effects and have those updates go live. Cool. All right. Fantastic. Let's move on. Right, so that's a lot. We've actually done quite a bit. Oh no. Oh. Dang it. I'm supposed to show Animate. Right, here's my media encoder. I'm going to quit out of this really fast. I'm going to move on from After Effects. I also, yeah, can talk a little bit more about it later. But there's more that I can do when it comes to animation. So let's just quit out of here. Let me continue like so. And let's kind of jump into like character animator, right? So we could use animate. It's going to give us that cell animation, that frame by frame animation. Or I could use, say, character animator if I wanted to build and create a character. Okay. This is what I mean when I say character animator. You guys have probably seen this before. But, oops. This little character, right? We could see him animate in, done with character animator. I know some people that might try using maybe the puppet warp tool in After Effects, but really you want to be able to do that with character animator. Okay, so let's open that up. Cool. Please upgrade your system. I'm doing it now. Thank you for that advice. I need to upgrade my laptop big time because, again, it's like 4 years old, and when you get into video, you need all the horsepower you can get. Do you have to create an object out of AI? No, you don't. Yeah, so they're not linked natively, Jennifer. Dorina, the extension should work when animated characters that you've created in Illustrator. So Overlord will work with characters. It doesn't care if it's a character, right? It just sees it as graphics. And but honestly, since you said character, we want to dive into character animator. Okay. Let's. Wait for it to load and get this off my screen. Let's go back here. Give me 1 second. Sorry, that animation kept on popping up. All right. Character Animator allows you to animate characters that maybe you've created based on one of these templates or that you've created from scratch in Photoshop or Illustrator. I personally think Illustrator is going to be your better bet, to be honest with you. But you have a number of characters you could use right in here. So we have Chad. We can use our Photoshop or Illustrator file for Chad. Okay. We also we can get some like really advanced characters in here, like her. This wizard student with triggerable poofs of smoke and a grabbable crystal ball, right? So let's take a look at Heather. She's a little bit more advanced. I think it's really interesting. Harder to animate because she has more going on, trust me. So let's wait for Heather to load up. It's getting my camera, by the way, so I kind of need to reposition my head. I will set my rest pose right up here. So now it's tracking my face. All right. And she should be talking. This is all based on my input. So using my eyesight camera and my default input for my laptop, which happens to be over there, by the way. But you can see that she's already moving. Notice how over here, when I said triggerable, yes, she's going to be talking. Let's expand this out. There we go. Yeah, she's going to be talking, but what we can do is we can use some of these nice, lovely triggers, right, that have certain properties associated with them. So I can hit B to make her blink, right? A will give me some poofs, which is magical. In her hand, we can put a wand. That's the hat poof that makes that hat appear. So what's happening with some of these is, yes, it's playing an animation, but you're actually toggling on and off layers is what's happening right in here. It's just a layer that's toggling on and off. Okay. All right. There we go. Hands up. I'm using my mouse to move it around. We, of course, have the magic wand. And from here, we can start to record this action, right? But let's go ahead and build a character from scratch. So we will go back to home. We'll launch Illustrator Chad. Yeah, you got to give this a go. By the way, like, it's awesome. I just picked a simple one. Like, we could see him talk. Again, my mic's clear over there, so it might not be reading it too well. I'm afraid to move my laptop right now, but he will talk. And there are also models that have 3/4 view that will actually like move their head. Okay, so we'll go to, we have rigging in here. Let's go back over here. We have this one. Again, I was working with Chad. Let's go into Chad, Illustrator. This is the scene that I'm currently using. Right up here, this is the character that I just loaded. I actually had him loaded twice. Okay, so let's take a look at this first one. It's probably one that I've edited already, right? And then here's the original. Okay, but we'll just go to this character, select that character, right-click, and edit original. The cool thing is, as well, is you can actually live stream this character talking as well. So, yeah. Here we are, Adobe Illustrator, looking good. Here's our fun character. This is typically why I will use... let me just open up my layers panel. Move this over like so. Yeah, this one is really basic, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's just really basic. Really basic. The reason I would use Illustrator is you have the ability to select the same fill color throughout your whole document and a number of other options. So in this case, I'd select the same like fill and stroke, and it will select obviously both those ears. I can hit I for eyedropper, click right there, and now we have our blue character. I want to get into a more advanced character if I could. I only have 5 minutes. Holy cow. All right, let's do this really fast. So there's our character. Saved him. Going back right over here. We will wait for it to load. It will make him that fun blue color, and he's still moving around and everything. Okay, we have his eyes moving and all that good stuff. Okay, the guy looks sick. Yeah, or he's just from another planet, and maybe him being beige means he's sick. Right? We don't know. We can do whatever we want. All right, so let's kind of dive into some more advanced characters. I'm going to actually go to home, and right down here, check this out. You can see more puppets. So I encourage you to use some of these, right? See more puppets. This is actually where I got mine. Mine is just Alex that's been modified, right? Here's Alex. right? We could download Alex. Alex has 3/4 views and all sorts of things. So that's what I'm doing right now, downloading Alex. Where are you, buddy? There you are. You ready for this? Here's my puppet. So you can create, you have your original Illustrator file, and then you have your puppet file that you could always export. Okay, so even though I made that character that looks sick, I can export it out as a puppet file, pass it around, sell it, that sort of thing, right? Let's make sure this guy loads up. Stefan, good to have you here. Welcome. I only have 5 minutes, and then I think Jesus Ramirez will be up with the Daily Creative Challenge, which will be really fun. I get it, this guy does look sick now that you mentioned it. It's kind of making me feel queasy, but it's probably the 4 cups of coffee I've had this morning because I had to get up early. All right. Lindsay, no. This is a desktop app, so it will not run Character Animator. But here he is. Here's our fun character. We can see, again, his mouth isn't moving too great right now, but not to worry. First thing we want to do is kind of scale this character down because he doesn't quite fit within within this area. So right over here, let's just scale him down, like so. And maybe move him up like that. And over. Okay, but here's the character. We can grab his arm, move his arms around, and also he has a number of controls as well. So I'll just look over here, see just the particular letter that I can actually modify. So I could show you how to create these. I don't know if I could do it within 5 minutes, but I'll do my best. Okay, but right over here we could do Y. Show me that pen. Here's a pen, right? T, he's pointing. R, he has the thumbs up, right? And different motions. So we have a wave animation right down here. So this is, you can actually build on top of just like sort of swapping out layers and actually build in an animation. So in this case, 5, wave. He's still tracking, by the way. You get the idea. All right, so let's go ahead and modify this character. His head should actually be turning as well. So see that? See, as I move my head, it's giving me this 3/4 view. Let's take a look right down here. I was actually in the record mode, but right down here, this even gives me a better view at the different options that I can kind of bring in. So J is going to give me that. Clipboard in his hand, and I can still manipulate that with my mouse. Okay, so I think actually Character Animator should be like a lot bigger right now because again, we can't shoot live action. Animation is a good alternative for any production that might need to happen. Eyebrows, that sort of thing. Okay, so here's Alex. Let's go right over here. I see you, Alex. There you are, buddy. Let's right click. Let's edit original. It's going to edit that Illustrator file. Okay, we'll just give it a second to open up. Here we are. Command 0. Look at all this. This is going to get insane, okay? So right over here, we can see how everything is laid out. And let me expand this out. We have the head, right? As we take a look at this head, we have the front, the left quarter, the left profile. So I start to turn these on. Look at how much of this I'm going to have to edit, right? It's going to be quite a bit, right? Because there's so many heads right in here, okay? But this is a case where I could go ahead and use Illustrator and select, right, a fill color since everything's turned on. And honestly, I would turn on all these different profiles. And then with that selected, I would go to select, same, fill color, right? Selects the skin tone everywhere. And then from there, I can make this a little bit darker, right? This is a pretty complex character, by the way. So this is me maybe after going to the beach. But more likely, I would get burned. And I would end up red. But you can see how you can change all aspects. The key thing here is you need to make sure that you turn off these layers, right? So we just want to have that frontal one. You just don't want to reset everything back the way it was. I get it. I made myself look bad, right? I look awfully pink. And what I'd want to do is kind of dial this in more. I think I'm gonna get some flack for changing him this way. But let's go ahead and select the same fill color. And just kind of adjust. There I am with a fake tan. That's what people look like with a fake tan. There we go. There's a little bit darker skin tone. Why am I even doing this? Let's save this file. Once I save it, I'll go back in here. He's obviously going to change, and you get the idea. Cool. Yeah, exactly, Michelle. No social distancing with Character Animator. But thanks so much for hanging out with me, guys. I actually have to get going because Jesus Ramirez is up next with the Daily Creative Challenge, so I want to make sure he has time. By the way, if I press the arrows to the left and right, he can walk as well. Okay, cool. From there, I could record a video, whatever the case may be. Let's kind of move on. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm going to be respectful of his time. Jesus Ramirez is up next. So we will be right back. Thanks so much, everybody. Just your introduction to animation. We'll do a little bit more tomorrow as well. So it's going to be fun. Thanks so much, everybody. And I will actually see you soon. So thanks for watching.